Hey everybody, Michael Hamburger here. I want to welcome you to our inaugural episode number one of Network Marketing Journal. And talking about ones, I'm starting off with a guy that I know is one of the top guys, if not the number one guy in the industry. I know he's one of the top guys and when it comes to personal development and generic training, but he's also the number one guy in his company. And I'm really pleased to have the one, the only Brian Carruthers on with us. Brian, how the heck are you doing today, man?
Oh, good, Michael. Good to see you. Good to be here with
Good
you.
to see you. We've known each other for a long time, haven't we?
Probably 20 years.
At least. So I know you've been in the powerhouse in the MLM industry now for 25 years or so. Take our
Full time.
listeners through, take our listeners through a little journey real quick. What it took to become the top producer in your company.
Yeah. I was full time in real estate in my 20s. While on the side, I got into network marketing part time because of a college friend reaching out to me. Spent 3.5 years in a company, making virtually no money. My biggest check was $1,100, but I learned a lot, and I saw people that were living really well, great income, time freedom. I wanted what they had, never could get it to happen. And at age 28, I found the business that I've been in for the last 25 years. It was a great fit for me. I made a commitment. I was all in. Even though I started off part-time, I was all in with my emotion, with my commitment. And here I am 25 years later with the same company. And, we've changed a lot of lives. I've built a team of hundreds of thousands of people. And I've been the number one recruiter in that 25 years. And so I love what I do. I love teach people how to replicate that.
We're going to put a pin on that recruiting comment and come right back to it. I've got one question I want to ask you before I jump into that one. And that's, because you don't hear about people being with a company 25 years. You're an anomaly, and like many of the people I know in the space that are still with their companies, there's few and far between. What were the key milestones that really had you dig in and make that type of commitment?
Well, I've spoke for 10 straight years at GoPro in Vegas. And one year, Tony Robbins was speaking there, and he said something backstage. He said, the only way for a human to feel more alive is to be a part of something bigger than himself.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, obviously you found that. And that's how I feel, being a part of a company where you really sold on the mission. The mission of my company is not just selling a product to make $1. It's a pretty great mission. I'm not going to get into my company and my mission, but I'm a money motivated guy. But when you combine money and mission will lead to commission. So at the end of the day, 25 years ago, when I really bought into the mission, I took what I learned from my prior experience. I married that up with some amazing mentors that I had to go forward. And my goal was just to go crush every record in the company, which I did. I was the fastest to platinum. I was fastest to this, that, the other thing. But at the end of the day, what you're alluding to is a lot of people don't know how to evaluate a network marketing opportunity in the first place. Warren Buffett has said in the past, the time to get worried and evaluate your stock is not after you buy the stock. You should be evaluating and worrying about your purchase decision before you pull the trigger to buy the stock. And then you just stick to your commitment and ride that stock to where you expect it to go long term. Warren Buffett is not a trader. He's an investor. And I see a lot of network marketers that act like traders instead of long-term investors. I want to be a long-term investor. I want to pick my company. I'm going to plant my roots and I'm going to build. And I'm going to build trees all around me. People told me 25 years ago when this company I'm in was 27 years in business already. And they said, Brian, you just don't get it. That company's old hat. You've missed the boat. It's not ground floor anymore. You can't make any real money there. It's too late. I said, look, I don't want a ground floor company. I want a rock solid company that's tapping into a ground floor industry. I want to put my head on my pillow at night and don't want to wake up in the morning. My company, my check will still be there. So I've got a peace of mind that a lot of my colleagues in the industry don't necessarily have. Now, I know a lot of people that are making great money just like I do, but I don't know that the peace of mind might be there. And I wish that for everybody, by the way. I want more of our network marketing companies in this industry to be long, steady, predictable, you can count on them companies, but I think you can count them on less than two hands. Pillar companies that have been around for decades that will be around for future decades. There's not that many.
You've been doing it for a while. I know you've seen him come, you've seen him go, like I have. I think you and I probably connected in the early 2000s when I came back to the industry in '03. And you're one of the guys then that was known as just a beast recruiter, right? And that's 22 years ago. I think you and I were advertised in the same Home Business Connection magazine a long time ago. And I remember you had a brick house, big brick house, and a red Ferrari. Reminded me almost like the Tom Selleck Magnum PI Ferrari, which I saw you recently donated. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, that was the house over near Annapolis, Maryland. The funny story about the Ferrari. My family was not very supportive of my network marketing pursuits. They thought I should have stayed in their family real estate business. So not only not supporting me, but making fun of me. So I said to myself, one day I'm gonna prove them wrong. So 2.5 years in, I made my first $1 million by the time I was 30 in this company. And I went into construction to build my, a dream house. I had the house you're talking about was on the cover of that magazine. It was a 6,000 square foot house with a gym and a movie theater and a hot tub and 3-car garage. And I was trying to, figure out what to put in it. Well, my brother had his dream car, a picture of a red 355 Ferrari Spider with tan interior on his fridge. That was his dream car. So I called up Ferrari Washington and I said, hey, I need this car. Can you find me one? They said, we happen to have that car. I said, I'll be right there, because it was 2 days before Thanksgiving and I wanted to drive it to my parents' house for Thanksgiving. And I parked it in the front of the house in the circular drive. And my cousin walks in and says, whose Ferrari's parked out front? And my sister says, oh, Brian, you brought the car? You brought your Ferrari? And my brother said, what Ferrari? He ran outside. He goes, that's my dream car. I'm like, hell yeah, it is. so it was kind of like one of those things. But yeah, that it served its purpose. I felt like I wanted something to drive me, that would motivate me to go work hard to get it. And then in our industry, we tend to use things like that to show people the potential, and I know that the FTC is not a fan of enticing people with checks or cars or whatever. So you got to be very careful. But back then, if people saw a picture with you with a Ferrari, they're like, oh, there must be profits in that business. Let me check it out. So anyway, it served its purpose. I mean, I had it since 1998. And here I am.
Something cool with it recently. I want you to kind of share with the listeners what you did with it recently, because you and I know each other a long time. I see some of the things you do, and this, out of all things you've done, this is probably one of my favorite things that I've watched you do.
Yeah. So I mean, I've had the car for the better part of 24 years, 23 years, whatever it's been. Yeah. So I've got it in 2000. I read a book called Die with Zero, and it got me to start really understanding that you can't take everything you build up, you can't take it with you. And it's better to use your money early in life so you can see the good it does in the world. And you also should have good experiences in life early so that you have many years to cherish those memories. Don't wait until the bucket list thing of waiting until you're too old to do anything, or dying with all your money and letting your kids inherit it. And you never saw the smile it puts on their faces and the opportunities it gives them because you're already 6 feet under the ground. So, I was driving to church one day, last year in December. And I wasn't even driving that car. I never drive that car to church, but I was driving my other car, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give the church to God. So, I donated the Ferrari to the church. Well, I gave the pastor the keys that night, and then I took it back and went to the dealership and sold it for him because he wouldn't know what to do with a Ferrari. And then I gave him the money. But yeah, I've got an alignment in my life now, Michael, that, I've done extremely well, not only with income, but also with the money that I've made. I'm probably one of the very, very few network marketers or entrepreneurs at large that has a net worth higher than their cumulative lifetime earnings. So I'm not just about, hey, let me show you how to make money. I want to show people how to make money, how to pay the right and least amount of taxes, which I'm not a tax advisor, but just direct them to to do the right thing, to keep as much money as they can keep, and then also deploy that money so their money is growing. People's income should be eclipsed by their money acceleration. They've got to. So anyway, all that to say, I'm a big believer in teaching people how to build this business, but I also want them to become financially free. That's why I wrote my fourth and last book, Untrapped. I've got a lot of people live like this guy on a treadmill going nowhere. And every single year, the challenge is if you work your network marketing business all year long And then at the end of the year, you look at your bank account, you have nothing to show for it. How many years are you going to keep on doing that? 5 years, putting in 5 years over and over and over again, and still net worth is not growing. Eventually you're going to be like, this doesn't work. Well, but that's not the truth. The truth is it works. You just weren't doing the right thing with your money and budgeting and investing and so forth all along the way. So I want to teach people, here's how to recruit, here's how to build, here's how to skyrocket your income. And now take that money, put it in the I quadrant, like Kiyosaki's quadrants, and get your money making you money. And that's how you're going to eventually be able to get off the treadmill and live a life of time freedom.
Powerful stuff. And I want to go back to the pen, because you really started to lay the groundwork down for the next evolution of our conversation, which is recruiting. When we started off there, you're renowned as one of the biggest personal recruiters ever. You, from my understanding, you consistently recruit 10 people every month. You do that for your first 10 years, and you've maintained that pace even now. So how did you achieve such consistent recruitment? And then what motivated you to keep going at that point?
Well, first of all, I mean, obviously not everybody gets it. It seems like it's common sense. Like recruiting is the lifeblood of the business, of a business model like this. Some people never figure out how to recruit and then they quit. Or some people actually go do some recruiting and then they go into management mode, and now they're just managing managers, and then their business dies from the ground up because they're modeling what other people should not be doing. You don't want to be a manager of managers. So I'm a big believer in leading by example. I'd rather watch a leader than to listen to one any day. So I learned how to recruit, and I decided that I was going to just lead the charge. And all I had to do is, hey, copy me. I didn't say, hey, listen to me. There's plenty of gurus out there saying, hey, here's what I did 20 years ago. Listen to what I did. I'm saying, no, listen to what I do right now. Here's how I recruited the server at the restaurant last Friday night. Here's how I signed them up. Here's how I onboarded them. Here's how I got them faster qualified. Here's how I got them their first check. So if I'm not relevant if I'm not doing that anymore. Now, this might rub some people the wrong way, because some people might say, well, sounds like, Brian, that you're on a treadmill again. Like, no, I can get off at any time, because I've led by example with recruiting, which is what I call IPA, income producing activity. I've lived it and breathed it so well that I've got plenty of leadership, because it's not so. I did a training program called Network Marketing Leadership Academy with my good friend Darnell Self several years ago. It took us 6 hours to do this training. And it's basically 3 phases of leadership. First, you have to be a leader that people want to join. And then you become a leader that people want to follow. And then you become a leader who develops other leaders. So the first part, becoming a leader that people want to join, that wraps in personal development. You need to be a person that people would want to get into business with. I look at people on social media and I look at distributors, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would never want to attach my wagon to you. Like you're a crap show. Like that's your digital business card and the stuff you're posting. I wouldn't want to join you in your business. So so recruiting is basically becoming a leader that people want to join. And you can recruit without becoming a leader that people want to join, by the way. Let me just make sure that this is very clear. You could be a recruiter if you're just willing to through brute force. If you call or text enough people a video to watch, if the video is worth its salt, it's going to recruit some people. That didn't require you to be a leader. But for somebody to come in and stay and attach themselves to you, you got to become a leader that people want to join and be with. And then you become a leader that people want to follow. Are you a leader? Well, I don't know. Look back. Anybody following you? Anybody behind you? Anybody doing what you're doing? If not, then either you're doing something that duplicates. Like there's one thing that if my recruiting methods were such that nobody else could do them, I wouldn't have a team of 400,000 people. I would have the team of 19.
So people can hear that number, the magnitude there, because there's not many people who can say that.
Yeah. So I've got, my team is over 400,000 people. I've personally recruited about 1,900. So if I was doing something that was not duplicatable, I would probably be in a team of a few thousand. But because what I do and what I teach, everybody can do. I'm not going to say it's easy, because what's easy to do is also easy not to do. But it's simple. I try to put everything through the filters of duplication. It's got to be simple. If I recruit you, Michael, right now today, the way I do it to you, you've got to say, I could do that in my limited time to people that I know, And I need to be able to do it quickly, easily. I need to be able to do it in such a way that they could see themselves doing it with their friends and family and repeat that process. And if it doesn't pass through that, if I spend an hour with you, I talk to people on my team sometimes. I'm like, how long did you just spend with your prospect? An hour and 15 minutes? You know what they're saying? Oh my gosh, this person, you must have to know a lot. You must have to like study this thing up to be able to spend all that time explaining everything to people. I don't want to learn all that. I don't have time to do hour, 15-minute presentations. This business isn't for me. I'm about be brief, baby, be brief. I mean, it's like Muhammad Ali, stick and run. I mean, you got to have a system that does a lot of the work for you. You got to crank through the numbers. You got to recruit a bunch to find the few who are going to go out and duplicate and sign up the masses. So that's why recruiting 1,900 people, I did that. Like I said, like you said, I've recruited 10 people a month for 10 straight years. My first 10 years, 10 people a month on average. I had months I had 20, 25 recruits in a month. And with the way I recruit, by the way, Michael, is I use some FOMO, some fear of loss, because if you learn how to, people have got to learn how to recruit. Because if you can do what I did, what I still do today, you can explode your business. See, if I'm trying to recruit you, Michael, right now, and you're not pulling the trigger, you're not coming on board, all I got to do is just get on the phone and reach out to some of my other hot prospects. And I go and get a couple people interested in coming on board. And I circle back to you and say, hey, Michael, I know you and I were talking about our business project last week. Well, let me just tell you something. I just got a couple really sharp people filling out their application, coming on board right now. If you hurry up and fill out yours, I'm going to put them under you, and you're going to get a chance to override everything they do for the rest of their lives in this business. I feel like I'm the Godfather, making you an offer you can't refuse. I feel like I'm Santa Claus in the summertime for you, man. Are you by your computer right now? I'm going to send you a link. I'll walk you through it. It'll take you 3 minutes. I mean, that's how I close people, because I can say, hey, I'm going to help you build something here. I'm not saying I'm going to recruit you and it's all on your shoulders. We do this thing together. It's let's go do this, not, hey, sign up and then you go do it.
So obviously that's paid huge dividends and been very fruitful. When you do that, I know in the beginning with your company. So at some point you started doing generic trainings for a wider industry. You shared a story with me a long time ago, years ago, about you had shared this with a major influencer in the space, and he challenged you on it. I'd love for you to tell the listeners today a little bit about that story. You can share a name, you can not share a name, it's up to you. But I just do this story when you shared it with me, and knowing that it's all truth and you walk the walk, it just inspired me, and I couldn't wait to lock arms with you.
Yeah, for sure. You talking about Eric?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I didn't know. Yeah, so
unless there's more than one, that's me.
I think that's what you're referring to.
Anchored in my heart years ago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what you're referring to. So, yeah, I minded my own business for 12 years. My first 12 years in this business, I was just building my business, and then I was invited by a friend of mine, Eric, out in Vegas, to come speak at an event he was doing. And he wanted me to do a 1-hour training on cold market recruiting. He's like, Brian, you're the best. Like, nobody does it like you, and you're gonna be the guy for that topic. And at the end of everybody's talk, they were all selling trainings, books, whatever. And Eric said, "What are you going to sell?" I'm like, I don't have anything to sell, and we're not allowed to sell. We're not allowed to sell what we're a part of, like our company, because it's a generic event. So I'm like, I don't have anything to sell. He goes, so Brian, you ought to think about as much knowledge as you have. Think about what you can do for the greater industry. Sure, you're helping people in your company, but Brian, you can help so many more people out there. Come out of your cocoon, spread your wings, bless so many more people. That conversation at the back of that room that day, I got on the plane and I'm like, because part of me, I was a young guy. I was out in it for building my own empire. And so I struggled with, do I want to go out and empower my competition? Because I thought every networker out there was competing for the same prospects, and I wanted them in my team, and they want them in their company and their team. But I started realizing, you know what? That's a scarcity mindset. Right. I could have far greater impact, even if I would not make money in an override from them being in my downline. And it's not like I was going to go out there and create some book or product that was going to just make a fortune off of them. And I learned very quickly that selling books, you don't make squat. I mean, all these people, I see so many people writing books these days. And I think just about 99.9 out of 100 realize within 90 days, oh my gosh, like I'm losing money having written a book. So anyway, I wrote my first book as a recruiting tool, because I'm a recruiter making my first 10 million. The Story of Money and Leveraged Income. It's a little 15-minute read. People can read it on the toilet, but it opens up their door of receptivity. Mm-hmm. Instead of me coming to you, Michael, and let's say you're not a fan of network marketing or you don't even understand what the model is, instead of me saying, hey, let me show you my business, and you're like, oh, that's a pyramid or what. If I have you read this book first and I explain how you might be repelling versus attracting money because you've got this, this mindset that you've been programmed with, this money's the root of all evil and rich people are bad and greedy and so forth. At the beginning of the book, I tweak their mindset to realize that money's a good thing because it can be used for good things. I share with them the power of the network marketing model. I relate it to the real estate model. And they can't dispute the fact that real estate's it's been around forever. Like you got brokers, you got agents, and the agents sell a house, then the broker gets a little override. So I explain the network marketing model in a way where it's palatable for people that don't get it. And at the end, I'm like, hey, if you want a model that you can create passive residual income, get back with whoever gave you this book. This thing has sold millions of copies. People use it for recruiting all over the place. So I wrote that, and that was my first foray into the generic space. And then I began this one. And this took me a year and a half to write. And I'm probably most known around the world for building an empire. This is a full-blown training book from A to Z. There is nothing else. And I wrote it because there was nothing that exists in the entire industry. You got GoPro that was written a little while after that by Eric Worre, which is a great book on prospecting and the recruiting step-by-step initial process. And then you have like your first year network marketing by Mark Yarnell. And then you had like John K. Lynch had a book. There's some other book, but none of them was like taking a brand new distributor from scratch to seven figures and everything you need to know in the industry. There was no one-stop shop book. So after a year and a half of going out there and doing the business, coming home and writing about it, whether it's a hotel meeting, an in-home PBR in somebody's living room, a conference call, a three-way, a sit-down, leadership, people quitting, what to do here, how to maintain your consistency, how to create urgency, how to close, how to present. It's all in the book. And then when COVID hit, we had to move with the cheese. Like certain things happened where we're like, oh my gosh, we have to do some things differently now. I had to add 9 more chapters a couple of years ago to bring it current. So anyway, this book is like I'm a religious guy now. So it's like, I hate to say it's the Bible of network marketing, but people call it the Bible of network marketing. So that's how I'm known for that. And then, let me say this real quick. I know you got other questions for me, but then I wrote Money Mindset. So this teaches people how to make the money.
Right.
This teaches people what to do with the money. So I got friends like Fraser Brooks and some of these other friends of mine out there in the industry that are like, Brian, this is the book that nobody teaches it because people don't even know it. The upline leadership in the company is not teaching people what to do with their money. Matter of fact,
I had that book when I was in the field cranking. One of the things that I really love about building an empire, and you said it, but it's tactical. It's not philosophical. When I was leading big downlines and stuff like that years ago, I was always a tactical trainer. Didn't leave the philosophy for other people. And that's one of the things I know when I got a copy of Building an Empire years ago, what I really appreciated was the tactical side of it. And it wasn't esoteric, head in the sky, kumbaya type stuff. Yeah, I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, and I'm a big believer in a lot of those other things. I'm a believer in Christ. But the reality is you gotta actually, like what's the saying? David actually had to pick up the rock.
Yeah.
You gotta do the PBR. You gotta do the three-way calls. You gotta do different things. So, did you ever have any doubts about, spreading your wings and going from, a powerhouse master trainer in your company to now you're out doing it for everybody in front of the whole world?
Yeah. I'm going to answer that. Let me finish one thought here real quick.
Okay.
So with Money Mindset, here's what people don't get. So everybody agrees who's read it or who's a leader. They're like, yeah, I need my team reading that book because I don't know how to teach it. A lot of these leaders, I know people that have made millions in network marketing and they don't have millions. Like some of them actually are broke. And they tell me because that's what I train on. I train on the money side of it for the last several years when I speak at the big events. And people come to me in the hallway like, Brian, these people like made $10, $15 million in the industry. They're like, I wish I heard your talk 15 years ago. So I say all that to say, this is something that everybody needs to read, but it's even deeper than that. And it's more front level than that, because if you don't know what you're going to do with the money when you earn it from your network marketing business, then you're probably not going to be motivated to go make the money because you don't know, you're not driven by what it's going to do for you. Like, for example, if you've been in network marketing for 3 years and you've got nothing to show for it still, how motivated are you the fourth year to go out there and do it again? But if you look at your bank statement month after month, year after year, and is growing, and after 3 years, your net worth is now 70 grand or 120 grand or something, then you're like, yeah, heck yeah. Year number 4, it's going to get even better. So if people are not doing the right thing with their money, they're going to quit the industry thinking that the industry is not working. No, they're making money. They're just blowing the money. They're living a life of servicing debt instead of building wealth. So people have got to read this. Now, to answer that question, one of the warnings my friend gave me that day, he said, most of the industry trainers stopped building their business and now they're trainers. And so from that standpoint, people can be like, oh, I can get so-and-so to train my people and I can bring my people to their seminars or webinars or whatever, because they're not going to recruit them because they're not in a company. They're not going to like recruit my people. So
Right.
The challenge with that is over the years, over the decades, there have been generic trainers that were generic and then they were no longer generic. They went back into the field and they started building again. And then the following that everybody gave them wound up eventually directly or indirectly getting pitched on a new opportunity. So knowing that, he said, hey, that's going to be a challenge that everybody who becomes a generic helper, trainer, teacher in the industry, you got to just understand that some people might be skeptical or leery of putting people in front of you. I said, I get it, totally do. And so I made a commitment that day when I started to pen my books and started doing this generic side. I said, I am going to be one of the good ones. I made a vow that I would never recruit an active network marketer. If somebody reached out to me and they knew me from my book or came to one of my a generic webinar or something like that, and they're like, hey, tell me about your company. I've told them about my product because everybody should have a legal plan. So I told them about my product. I've said, you cannot join my team. They're like, why not? I'm like, well, are you in a network marketing company? Yes. Well, unless you're the number one distributor and nobody would get hurt by you signing up with me, then we can't have the conversation. I've turned away dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people. And I don't mind doing that. And here's what's crazy. People are like, my gosh, you're turning me down. It makes me want you even more. It reminded me of my dating days. When I wanted a girl, they didn't want me. When I didn't want them, they wanted me. So it's kind of like the same kind of a deal. But here it is. It's 12 years later. And I've held true to my word, and I will always be a safe entity. And that's why I've got so many leaders and companies that have had me speak at their events or big conference calls, and they've got their people using my book. And so anyway, it's been a blessing. I love that my reach is not just within the cocoon of my own downline. I can help people in any company that they're in.
Yeah, it speaks volumes for your integrity, your reputations. I know it's critically important to you. It's critically important to what people do in the space. And it's no doubt, man, how you've managed to maintain such high integrity throughout your career, especially when recruiting and training the members.
Yeah. And by the way, sorry to cut you off.
No, it's all
I
good,
think I think the most important thing there is my hallmark. My calling card is I'm the guy in the industry that is teaching generically that's still doing it today. Like, I don't know anybody else. Like, you think of the big names, they had to stop doing what they're doing to become generic. I'm able to tell people on a webinar, hey, here's how I just recruited somebody yesterday. And here's what I just did to onboard them today. And I'm doing a Zoom for their contacts tonight. Like I'm right now, I'm the number 3 recruiter for the year so far in my entire company. And how many number 1 earners that, Michael, everybody in the industry, how many number 1 earners are still out there recruiting like that? I mean, some of them are active in a management or a leadership role, but some of them just show up to the conventions and shake hands and kiss babies. Like I'm showing up. And I just picked this one up a few months ago. I'm showing up to pick up top recruiter awards each year. I got a whole rack of them behind me ever since they started doing these 8 years ago. I got 8 of these in a row. So, and again, I don't need them because I want more hardware. I just want to lead by example. I want somebody to say, hey, let me just copy what Brian's doing and I'll get there too.
You bring up something. I remember we were at an A&MP event a few years ago, and the MC was talking about he was going to a company trip, and another very well-known, foundational pillar type guy has been in the space longer than you and I probably said, I bet you qualified to go to that event because your team sales. And he said, no, actually I recruited number of people over the last 20 days. And by the way, hamburger software and systems, what did it for us? I was kind of like, oh, a little peacock moment. But it's one of the things I love about you, Brian. You've built a reputation being about integrity. You've done it. You've been, forthright about it, and you've become the top recruiter. So that's what I want to talk about next. I want to talk about top recruiter secrets. You offer a course right now, Top Recruiter Secrets. Give us an overview of what the course covers, and in your mind, who would benefit the most from it?
Well, that's been my number one best-selling program. Not only because recruiting is the one thing. I mean, the one thing that everybody needs to do is to be recruited. Well, the number one thing is prospecting. Prospecting can be for selling or recruiting, so there's two different paths there. But I'm a big believer in recruiting. Recruit, and don't get it out of order. That's what one of my mentors used to say. So recruiting is an art. You got to develop the skill. You have to have the consistency, and you have to have the posture. You have to have the belief. People don't need to believe in your company. They just need to believe that you believe. If they believe that you believe, now they're going to listen. Now, what are you going to say when you got their attention? You got 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds tops before they decide to turn you up or turn you off. What do you say? How do you say it? In what sequence do you say things to be able to move them from piquing their interest through the channel to get to a presentation, through the channel to get to a third-party close, and then onboard them and repeat that process? It seems very simple, but if people understood it, everybody be recruiting. So there's a lot that goes into recruiting to a simple process. So I think the training is like an hour and a half. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's the bestseller. Like, people are using it. I get feedback constantly from people that bought the Top Recruiter Secrets and like, my gosh, it's revolutionized things for me. I haven't recruited anybody in like 4 months. I just got 2 recruits this week. So I love hearing the results. I'm not here to sell. It's cheap, $100 for the training course. So, and here's the thing. Sometimes people, I think you might have even said this to me a long time ago. Some people believe I should be selling the course for $1,000, so people treat it with more value. Because I sell it to somebody for only $100, people are like, I can't learn squat from $100 training program. People go to weekend seminars and they spend 5 or 10 grand and come home and still can't recruit. So, my Top Recruiter Secrets, and again, this is going to sound a little arrogant for me to say this, but I just what I believe. And because I speak what I believe, and I believe what I believe, is why I recruit so well. If you're a network marketer, how can you not get Top Recruiter Secrets? Now that you know about it, now you're hearing you and me right now. And now that you know about it, invest in yourself. Don't worry about investing in your next stock, bond, insurance policy, real estate. Invest in yourself and your business. Go put $100 on the line. Get this program. And I don't even know, it's probably $100, $200, whatever it is at the time, whenever somebody's watching this, we'll give you, but anyway, point being, get the training. We're
going to raise the price, just so you know.
Exactly. I saw your brain. I saw you going. I'm like, I don't know if he's going to want me to sell it for $500 now, but I don't want people to not be able to afford it, but you can't afford not to have the program. You can't, if you have any desire to go build.
What's real math? What you've put in Top Recruiter Secrets, it's not that $100. What it is, it's 1,900 personal recruits that has turned into 400,000 people in your downline. Whether we sell it for $100 or we sell it for $100,000 in between, that course will make somebody millions. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that, but I know the proof is in the pudding. How do you go from recruiting one person to 1,900 people, and those 1,900 people recruit 400,000 people? That's exponential network marketing math. That's real math. We don't have to divide it by a shoe size there.
And here's something that people need a reminder of, or just become conscious of this. I have had problems paying a contractor to come to my house to replace a toilet valve or to fix a simple electrical outlet. They give me a bill. They're here for 10 minutes and they give me a bill for $200. And I have a big problem with that. And I saw a post a few years ago, maybe it was like last year. It came right after I had a contractor over here. I'm like, I can't, how dare they charge me $200 for 10 minutes? But here's what the post was saying. That contractor who's been in business for about a decade had to go learn their trade, they had to get the truck. They had to get all the equipment. They had to go and put in all the hours to learn how to get that job done successfully and safely in 10 minutes. So I wasn't paying for their 10 minutes. I was paying for the last 10 years of them getting to the point where they can come and solve my problem for me for $200. Now I could go learn how to become an electrician or a plumber and spend the hours or years and get all the equipment and go do it myself. It would be a lot more expensive than $200. So because I understand that now, I realize when somebody is, if I've got a weakness, if I have a weakness on social media, on time management, on attitude, on goal setting, on mindset, whatever, I would much rather go spend $300, $400, $500, $1,000 and go take the shortcut and get that problem figured out in my life so I can go on to make more millions.
Brilliant. I just wish I had your plumber, because my plumber charged me $1,200 for a new toilet last month, which we weren't very happy about. That's a whole different story.
Well, yours is a bidet. Mine's a regular toilet. So
no, no bidet. It was a kid's bathroom. No, kid's bathroom. Let me ask this: how has technology changed the way that you recruit in your business these days versus over the years?
It's funny. I was just having a conversation with someone who is acclimating their whole team to my stuff, because he said that his team was getting so confused by all the technology that's going on. And he said, Brian, because I've known this guy for 20 some years, and he used to be in my downline years ago. He's like, Brian, I'm going to be bringing you on our he's a master distributor. He's like, I want you on my team call. We're going to get everybody to get your Empire Builders Vault training program so they can get all your trainings. Because his whole thing is his team is hearing from so many ideas from so many different people. He said, Brian, what you have always done that you continue to do, it's, people confuse it. They start putting names on it. They call it old school. Old school, new school, high tech, high touch. You can call it all sorts of things. I'm a big believer that you have to be high touch. You have to use high tech. You have to marry the two. I don't think that there's ever going to be something that is going to replace the relationship build. Having a relationship with somebody, sitting down with someone for a coffee or a Zoom virtual coffee, if you will. A presentation needs to be done. A testimonial needs to be told. So just slamming, masses of people into a funnel, there's nothing wrong with that. If you have a funnel that works and can convert people into seeing a presentation, comes out the other end, whether they're in yet or not in yet, and you start the relationship process there at the front end of the funnel or the back end of the funnel, doesn't matter. The funnel is amazing for anybody who's using funnels. If you have a funnel that's working, heck yeah. But it just accelerates how many more people you can make a friend and make a team member for life. So I'm a big believer in doing it all.
So are there any, and these are great conversations so far. Looking back at your journey, if you could give any piece of advice to your younger self that was just starting out, what do you feel would be the most important piece of advice you'd share with you?
I don't know if you're asking a different question in the same question in different words. The question I normally get is, what would you go back and do differently? It's kind of similar to what you're saying right now. And my answer to that, because I get that question kind of a lot. I wouldn't do anything differently. I would not avoid any issues, because anything that I had to deal with back then, if I could go back and say, hey, go back and change it and do it differently, I would not have gone through something and learn my lesson to be stronger and a better leader going forward. So I wouldn't change anything. Now, if I was struggling right now after 25 years and I'm just figuring something out now, and I can go back and say, hey, I have nothing to show for the last 25 years, go back and tell your 25-year-old, 28-year-old self back then, give that guy the lesson now. Sure, that would be different. I would give you a different answer. But right now I've made almost $30 million. I built a massive team and a lot of people that are doing really well. Like if I go back and tweak anything, maybe this outcome doesn't happen. So I think I had to go through the stuff. I had to have people quit on me. I had to run people off. I had to have my personality that was really money motivated and really urgent back then, where now I'm a little bit easier on people. So we all evolve. Like back then, I want to make money for me. Now I want to make it for the kingdom. So there's different things that motivate us. At AMP this year, I shared my story arc of my life of back then. I wanted to go platinum, and I rewarded myself with a Rolex. Well, I haven't worn that Rolex for the last 8-10 years. It drove me back then because I wanted to have a Rolex to prove to people out there in the world that I was I was worthy of being respected. Now I don't need a Rolex to get people to respect me. I just want them to see my actions and see the kind of man I am, and hopefully they respect that guy. So I'm just in a different place, but I had to be the guy I was at the time.
Well, it's wisdom, and you don't build muscle up without tearing it down first. So going through those heartaches and going through those trials and tribulations, yeah, it breaks down that muscle a little bit, but then you build it back up, and here you are, $30 million in revenue or in earnings later to have a higher net worth. So I asked you a question. I'm going to ask it to you in a little bit different way this time. If you were to sit down with someone who's brand new, a new recruiter, somebody new to MLM or struggling to find their footing, what piece of advice would you give that new person that's just starting to build their business so they can do it successfully?
Well, number one, comparison is the thief of joy. Huge. There were people that were 25 years in when I got started 25 years ago. And so, those people had a running head start, and they got to where they got to. I got in. We all get in when we get in. To think that somebody can't start in a network marketing business today and 25 years from now be at or beyond where I am is silly. There's always going to be opportunity. There's always going to be products that need to be pushed into the marketplace. Network marketing is always going to be the brilliant model that it is. The companies that exist today might not be the companies that exist 25 years from now. There's going to be some that will stay the test of time, and there'll be some that won't be here anymore. That's not the question you're asking. The question I believe is that new person today. I was speaking in Chicago a year ago, February, getting in the elevator, getting ready to go down. An acronym popped into my head. Not sure where it came from. And it was GAME, GAME. Stands for Great Associations, Mentors, and Environment. And in order to have success, real success in anything that you're going to do, network marketing, playing golf or tennis, playing the guitar, whatever, getting game is going to give you the best chance to go out there and be the top of that, whatever it is. Great associations. Your associations are always working on you. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you hang around 5 millionaires, you're bound to be the 6th one. Hang around 5 broke people, you're bound to be the 6th one. If they drink, you'll drink. If they smoke, you'll smoke. If they curse, you'll curse. If they go to church, you go to church. You just become who you hang around. You ever see somebody hanging around their pet so much they start looking like their dog? I mean, that's how it is. So you got to get great associations. Getting into network marketing gives you access to great associations. And by the way, be mindful of that. There's a lot of people in your company. If you hang around, pecking around on the ground with the chickens, you're going to stay with the chickens. You're never going to soar with the eagles. So don't hang around the people that are stuck at low levels. Get around the movers and shakers in your business so that you can move and shake with them. And then great mentors. I mean, if I wanted to learn how to play the piano or sing, I'd go hire John Legend. Most people couldn't afford John Legend. He's very expensive. Probably doesn't even get lessons like that. Golf, go get around Tiger or Tiger's coach. Go get around Tiger's dad, whatever, right? Most people don't have access to mentors. So network marketing, because of the model, it gives you access to mentors. The company pays those people that are already massively successful and have had the results that you're trying to create. The company's going to pay those mentors to mentor you. And then you got the environment. And the environment in network marketing, don't take it for granted. At your workplace, nobody wants you to become better than them. In network marketing, your upline and the people here want you to be better than them. I want people on my team in my business. I want them to be better than me. The better they do, the better I do. I get paid on their success. So the environment of uplifting and personal development, and Jim Rohn once said, "Don't go out and make $1 million for the money. Go make $1 million for the person you had to become to make the $1 million." You're going to become the person who makes the $1 million. You see people win the lottery, they get a couple $1 million in their hand, and then 5 years later, they're broke again. Why? Because they never became a millionaire. They were just a temporary custodian of some money that they got from a scratch-off ticket. So when you've got game, which every one of you watching this, if you're in the network market, if you're not in network marketing and somehow you're watching this, go get into network marketing because it'll give you game. It'll give you great associations, mentors, environment, which is more important or as equally important as the product and the compensation plan.
Absolutely brilliant. I've got one question before we wrap up here today, Brian. How do you see the future of MLM evolving, and what role do you believe training programs like Top Recruiter Secrets will play in that future?
I believe I can't fathom. I've been doing this now for 30 years. I don't know of a better business model. I mean, in this era that we're in right now, with technology and social media, there's a lot of conversation about traditional network marketing versus affiliate marketing. There's a lot of conversation going on about what's the future of the model. In my opinion, companies will not succeed in a bigger fashion just having one-off affiliates marketing their products. To scale, to get an army of people out there moving your product or service into the marketplace, that army needs to be led by somebody and not some corporate person in some ivory tower. A field needs field leadership. There needs to be the Bravehearts that are taking that ragtag army into that battlefield to defeat England and win their freedom for Scotland. That's what network marketing is all about. So I don't believe that there is ever going to be a future that's not going to involve network marketing or business model, distributors with leadership, building downlines, supporting them, helping them, giving them game. So the future of the industry is super strong. It's going to be bigger later than it is today. It's just going to continue to grow. There will be different players in the game. Different companies will come and go, but the model itself. That's why I believe that anybody who gets into network marketing and learns how to build it successfully, learns how to sell, learns how to build a team and lead a team, because leading a team of independent contractors, business owners. You can't hold a salary over somebody's head to motivate them. So leadership and management are two different things. If you learn how to be in leadership instead of management, you can go into any business, any vertical, any business model, and you can go write your own check. So I would just encourage everybody to just, over the next 5 or 10 years, just build your skills, build your mindset, become a leader in network marketing. And you can go out and start your own company in or outside of this industry. You can go out and write your own check in this world.
You know, you're speaking truth in my world. You know, I tell people all the time, I go, a lot of the skills that I deploy today in our agency are learned in network marketing. I don't care who I'm sitting down with. I'm sitting down with 3 executives from Amazon and the Joint Chief of Staff next week, and then we'll not shy away from the fact that this all started with the MLM. You know, Brian, it's been a joy hanging out with you. Yeah, absolute joy. I absolutely see the integrity that you have, the passion that you have for this. Where do people find you? How does somebody find you online right now?
Real Brian Carruthers on Instagram. They can find me on Facebook. I'm at Brian Carruthers on YouTube. I've got a lot of videos on there. Go to briancarruthers.com. You can learn about me. You can see the different books and training programs. We talked about Top Recruiter Secrets. We didn't talk about some of the other ones. They can go check out on there. Everybody struggles with time management. I created a very short and sweet 1-hour course called Time Masters that will help everybody learn how to get more out of the same 24 hours that every one of us has. Everybody has 24 hours. People are like, I don't have time. That's not true. You have the same time we all have. What you're not getting out of the day that other people are, you just haven't figured that out. So I would say Time Master is going to be a big help. Locker room training of 5. I wouldn't mention some of these, but let me just say this one thing. I did a training called Locker Room Training. It was my first big.
I have it at home. It's an incredible course.
Yeah. So thank you. So it was a 5-hour live event that I recorded on purpose to have that product. And we had several hundred people that came for it, and people went home. And I just asked everybody at the end of it, I'm like, let me know 6 months, 12 months, a couple years from now, just let me know what happens in your career after we had this day together. And I've got one guy, I'm not going to use names here. I got one guy who came into that event. He never made more than $5,000 in a month. He went on within 18 months, not only smoked past 6 figures a month, got up to $300,000 or $400,000 a month, built one of the biggest teams in the industry, just exploded. And we became great friends. And I didn't know him before he came to that event, but coming out of that event, and again, I never take credit for anything. He applied things that he learned that day. And it's not the only place he's ever learned from, but it's really neat when somebody gives you credit for that kind of success. He's like, Brian, that locker room training day was everything. So there, I've got plenty of things that I can share with people that are listening right now, whether it's how to recruit or how to get more, better with their time management, or how to build and scale the system, which is what that locker room training was all about, having a system where everybody in your whole team can plug into it. So even if you're not a superstar, you don't put a lid on top of them and their business. The Leadership Academy with me and Darnell Self is, people say it's the best leadership training in the network marketing industry. So all that stuff is all in there. So I would encourage everybody to go to briancarruthers.com and just kind of poke around.
Spell your last name so people can know how to, and your first name, because there's so many different nuances on how you spell Brian.
Yeah. I instead of Y. Get rid of the L. So it's BrianCarruthers. briancarruthers.com. If you look up on Amazon or buildinganempireBook.com, you can actually see my name on the cover of the book there.
So if I'm brand new in the industry, or I've been in the industry, I said it was going to be my last question. I lied. Apparently, I've got one final question for you, and I promise we'll get out of here. If I'm brand new to the industry, or I've been kind of floundering for a while and haven't been the type of recruiter that I feel I deserve to be, and you were going to put me in direction of maybe 1, 2, or just 3 products of yours to start with, which would those be?
Start with Top Recruiter Secrets.
Okay.
Then Time Masters, because knowing how to recruit, but then not making the time to do it is going to do you no good. And then probably locker room training. And then obviously once you got that under your belt,
time management, locker room training, and those are all available on your website.
Yeah. And look, if somebody wants to have access to all you can eat, and you just want me to, my website used to be called fostermentor.com, because I became a foster mentor to a lot of network marketers that had an upline, but they wanted a foster dad, a foster mentor that was not already making money off of them, that could just be a pure mentor in their life, not attached to their business, that could be a third-party pure mentor. So fostermentor.com is where I began. I just shifted it to briancarruthers.com. But I say that to say, if you want to have access to me all the time, go to empirebuildersvault.com. All of my trainings, empirebuildersvault.com. All of my trainings, everything I've ever done, everything I will do, all goes into that vault. So it's like $3,000 in training programs. I do live web events every quarter where I do some coaching and training, and then I open it up for Q&A for hours. So if you have anything that's holding you back, you ask, I answer, give you the best insight I can with all the wisdom I've got from the last 30 years. All that's available for literally $49 a month. So, and on a month-to-month basis. So you got nothing to lose, just to jump into that, start, devouring whatever you need that you think you need, and just go through it whenever you want to go through it.
Brian, you're brilliant, man. Great wisdom. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully we can do this again sometime soon. Just want to say thanks for joining us here on the Network Marketing Journal.
I appreciate the opportunity to be on here with you.
Hey, we'll see you soon, buddy.
You too.
Bye-bye.